Hello, welcome back to our lovely Saturday night small biz chats. We're calling them that because we're not doing them live, so to speak. We just thought it'd be a lot easier to actually just get them recorded, get them out there, suits everybody's schedules, and then people can watch and catch up as they often do. But we've got the lovely Leigh Rose with us today. Hello.
Hello.
So Leigh is an
That's
absolute
my whiny
fountain.
dog in the background.
Oh, bless you. No, it's all right. These things happen. But you're an absolute fountain of knowledge. I've found all things small business. And you've been a guest speaker in our membership group. And you're definitely, I say, my go-to person whenever I'm like,
Thank you.
Leigh, I need help with something. And I recall you said that you've been in business for over, like, is it like 20 years since you were 15, I think you said? So how did that all start so young?
Yeah, since I was 15. It's all my dad's fault. I blame my daddy. It's all his fault. It started actually before I was 15. My dad was a sole trader for my entire childhood. Me to work with him in the summer holidays.
Yeah.
So we would go, most of what he did as a sole trader was painting and decorating, but he also worked freelance on farms and things like that. So he would take me along to work with him, and I would go and I would look after the little baby piglets and stuff, and drive around in a bobtail tractor. And I just saw that my dad had a lot of freedom because of that. He was also a licensed publican, so he would work during the day for his own business, and then he would come home at night and he would run a bar. So I spent a lot of my teen years sitting in a bar and playing pool and being a bit of a shark and clearing tables and things like that. And I got to know a lot of the regular customers because it was a small village pub. It wasn't like a fancy pub, it was a proper pub.
Yeah.
And that's where I grew up, in that environment. And a lot of the people who were in there were also like, they were tradesmen, so they were builders and joiners and things like that. So they all had the business mindset, not like big business mindset as people call it, like CEOs. These were men with a trade, and they were proud to be their own employer. And then as my brain started to pull all this information together, as I was coming towards the end of like my school life, and they were asking us like, what do you want to do? I decided that what I wanted to do was be self-employed. So right from the beginning of choosing a career, I wanted my career to be self-employment. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to be my own boss, set my own hours, have the freedom. And I actually started a little business because I was doing media studies, was one of my courses at school. And I was started a little business as part of my media studies. And that was batch creating meals and cleaning for the regulars in my dad's pub. So these guys who didn't have a wife at home or didn't have a partner, and they would literally come straight from work to the pub and then go home and sleep. And I had keys to everybody's house, and I would just like have a little round where I'd go around and I'd drop meals in the freezer for them so they could eat when they got home drunk. And I would put the washing away that had come in from the laundrette and things like that for them. And I actually
Could you
wish that
still
I'd
do that for me?
carried it
That sounds
on.
great.
I honestly, like, I don't even know why, because I was always like, I'm still terrible at housework, but I can go and clean my daughter's house, no problem. But cleaning my own house, I'm like, oh, don't do that. So, but that was where it started. It started in the bar, watching these men who had plenty of disposable income, and I went, I'm going to get some of your money. So that was where it all started from.
Oh wow, gosh, that is. It's funny, really, because I think I I don't think I'd realised that I wanted to be self-employed till quite, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do growing up. But sometimes you have that kind of thing of like, I had those, you have to do this, you have to go to university, you want to do that. And I was like, well, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's only, like I say, later on in life, I'm like, you know what, actually, there's a reason why I've not enjoyed any job that I've ever done. It's because people that I work for are all I'm not going to say the word, but it's just I don't like working. I just, you know what, I just don't like authority. I like,
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
very
I've
much
always had a bit
my
of an
own
issue
boss.
with following orders and things. And I was, for a couple of years in school, I was like quite troublesome. Like I was a really good kid, but I was the kid who would ask why. So when the teacher said, "Well, you need to do this," I'd be, "Why? What am I going to gain from that? Like, what is that going to do? How is that going to help me in my future?" And
Mm.
they all hated me for it. I had one teacher that as soon as I walked through the door, I'd be like, "No, get out."
That's the thing, isn't it? They
Okay,
want
then
they want the
fine.
stickers, you know, they've got
Yeah.
to have the dot the T, was it cross the T's and dot the I's type
Dot the
thing, and
I's,
you know,
yeah. And
free thinkers and
I've
things.
never been that kid. I've never been that person. I've always been kind of thinking outside the box, trying to find a different solution. And if something's not working, how can we fix it? Because repeating the same thing and getting the same results doesn't work.
Mm,
So from a very early age, that was already there. Obviously, later in my life, being diagnosed with ADHD, I now know why. But for 38 years of my life, I didn't know this. It was just how I was. And
yeah.
it just kind of gave me that drive to want to do things differently.
See, I was that kid in school that never wanted to be the leader of a group, but ended up being the leader of the group and doing all the work because I'm like, I can't trust them to do the job. I'm just going to do it. Or like,
Yes,
um,
the perfectionist.
yeah. Oh, it is the amount of times that people would want to be in my groups. They're like, oh, I mean, I think mine, because I did media studies, and I think the girls that I was with,
Nobody else can do it the way I do it.
well, this, you know what, my media studies project, all three of us that were in this group together for our A level kind of, we had to create a trailer for a horror film, and yeah, I was the only one that was sat there for hours on end editing while the other girls just went to McDonald's and stuff. I'm like, you know what? It's actually easier without them because I don't have to like, I can just make the decisions rather than being like, oh, I don't know if I want to do. I was like, oh, you know what? Just, yeah, go to McDonald's. I'll do this. And we all got A's. So I was like, you're welcome. But it
Yeah,
is one
I
of those.
always worked better on my own.
Yes. Yes. That's, I'm not very good at delegating. That's one thing that I need to work on. And I don't know if that's something, is that just,
Outsourcing
I
can
don't
be
know.
difficult
Yes, yes.
because it is, you're letting go of that control and you're handing that control over to somebody else and having to trust their skills. But that's why it's important that if you're going to outsource, you need to make sure that you outsource to the right person who
Mm,
is like aligned with you, who does things in the same way as you do, so that
perfectionist.
you know you can trust them. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're a perfectionist and you need to outsource, find another perfectionist because they are the only person that is going to do it to a standard that you'll be happy with. And you can actually put that out there, like say to people like, I'm looking for a perfectionist. And there will be somebody who goes, me.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. But I mean, so started in a pub,
Yeah.
clean and everything. So how many businesses? Because I know you said you've had, how many businesses have you actually owned since the beginning?
Oh, so since I started, I've had, I think about 10 that I've owned myself,
Oh
and
wow.
I think I've helped to open another 10 or 15 for other people. But sometimes I would have like 2 or 3 businesses running at the same time. So it wasn't like one after another. It was sometimes they were running alongside each other.
Yeah.
And I would have, and sometimes it was like totally different industries as well. Like I'd have 3 businesses running in 3 totally different industries. And multitasking is one of my special skills.
Oh
So it's
God.
kind of like I just kind of bounce from one thing to the next and get things done. That's just kind
Yeah.
of what I do. So it
Jeez.
was it never seemed as though like I was, oh my God, this is like my 10th business. It was just, well, that idea is not doing anything now, it's not going anywhere. So I learned very early on to be able to spot the signs of something that wasn't working,
Mm,
or there would maybe be a change in the market trends that meant that I knew that that wasn't going to grow the way I wanted it to. So I would pull something else in. And while I'm closing one down, I'm opening another one. So I never really took much of a break aside from I had 2 short breaks when I was pregnant with my kids. But I mean, with my son, I was straight back to work when he was 6 weeks old.
oh wow.
So I was straight back in and starting a new business when he was 6 weeks old,
Gee.
because I didn't want to just be sort of. I'm not built to be a sit-at-home mummy, and I love my children, but having my children was not something that fulfilled me. I got quite bored with motherhood. So I went
You know
and
what? It's, you know what?
straight
That's
back in with it
refreshing.
and getting something else up and running.
That's refreshing because I think this is the
Yeah.
thing is that,
So many people don't like to talk about things like that.
no,
It's taboo, you should give your children all your time. And I actually really struggled with that for such a long time, that idea that I should be focused on my child. I mean, my kids they were fed, they were looked after, they were loved, they were given time, raised on using Montessori and homeschooling. But for all my work built around him, I needed something else. So I continued to build businesses.
yeah. Well, no, like I say, it's refreshing to hear because I think I was very much the same. I thought being a mom, maybe I'll finally find where, find that fulfillment. And, I had my little boy and for a while it did feel like that and this, that and the other, but I still had postnatal depression and all these different things. But, you carry on pushing through it. And it's like, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. And then it's when I had my daughter that things got even worse for my mental health and this, that and the other. And then when I started the business, things started then fall into place and I went, oh, this
Oh,
is the thing that I needed to be doing to get fulfillment. Check. So what would you say then
I
was
mean,
your
I've
favorite?
over the years I've had so many people saying, my favorite was what I enjoyed doing was definitely the work horses. That was a business built out of my passion, and I do really, really miss that. I wish that I could go back to it, and I will one day go back to having horses again. But I loved it. I was really enjoying it. I was starting to make some decent money out of it. And to be honest, with that, I didn't really care too much about the money because I was doing something that I loved. So it wasn't about the money, it was about having the freedom to follow a passion. And having gone through a lot of things in my life that restricted my freedom, that was what I needed more than anything. And working with the horses was just, they are amazing creatures. I absolutely loved it. But then I fell pregnant, and it was, you can't run an business when you're out here somewhere. And
Mm,
especially what I was doing, because I was taking in young colts from auctions and things, and I was training them up and then set on. That was part of my business, and you can't have a fiery young colt on the end of a rope line when you're 6 months pregnant. This is half a ton of animal. You
mm.
can't be messing about with things. Um, but it's definitely my favourite business, and the one that I regret the most having to walk away from. But I got my son, and he made up for that, and he's amazing. So it's just, as I like to say, horses for courses. You do what works at the time.
Absolutely. So obviously your new business now, the one that you're kind of focusing on and are going to be talking about in
Yes.
our showcase is the basics bitch. I've got that right this time.
Yes.
The basics bitch. So I'd love to know, first of all, like, why that name in particular? Because I'm always like a bit like, I mean, I'd love to cuss,
Well, that name was
but it's one of
actually,
those.
that was actually kind of, for a long time, I was wearing a mask. In business, I would be the polite business owner, and I would have the mentality that the customer was always right, and that you had to always have your spelling had to be perfect, and if you were talking people, you had to without the northern accent, and that you had to present yourself in a way that people would want to buy from. And it was after a lot of very deep mindset work and work on going through traumas and things that I realized that no, I don't have to present myself in a way that I think will attract customers to me. What I need to do is attract the right kind of customers who want me for who I am. So that was why I finally decided to kind of be brave enough to just be myself. and to not worry about that. And I did that with the business that I had before this, which was the 10 Story Bears one. I opened up a lot with that, and I did tell people about my life experiences and things which I had never done before. And then when I started this business up, everybody pretty much within the coaching and mentoring industry is very polished and very portraying the lifestyle that people want to achieve. And that is part of selling the coaching and mentoring services, is that people want to buy the lifestyle that they are like aiming for. So everyone within that industry is very polished. There is a lot of pink. There is, there's a lot of women sitting in fluffy chairs and all things like that. And
I like to call that smoke
that's
and
not
mirrors
me.
sometimes.
Yes, and some of it is smoke and
Yeah.
mirrors. Some people are naturally, genuinely like that, and that's them. But I held off from going into this industry for a long time because I was looking at that and saying, that's not me. I can't do that. I knew I could not portray myself in that way. And something that one of the mindset blocks that I had to overcome when I was doing all the work that I was doing was that in a previous relationship that I was in, which was very, very toxic and abusive, I was called a basic bitch constantly. Everything I did was not good enough, and I was basic, and I why would anybody want me and things like that. So I decided to flip that on its head and turn that into a positive and make it part of my branding and part of what I'm doing, because I wanted my name and my branding to tell people what it does, like to do what it says on the tin. Because a lot of the times, especially within the coaching industry and the mentoring industry, it's really hard to actually know what somebody does, and everybody is a queen or a guru or a king of something. And I'm like, I don't want to be a queen, I don't want to be a princess. That's not me. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to just go for it. I am basic, I am teaching the basics, and to be honest, sometimes I can be a bit of a bitch. So if that's what somebody needs, and they need someone to kick their ass and be a drill sergeant and say to them, get this done, then I'm going to do that. So I just kind of threw it all there and went, crossed my fingers and was like, I hope people like this.
I suppose it's one of those things, though, if everybody's doing one thing, they
Yeah.
always say, all these business coaches with their nice pink, fluffy, so they're all saying, do the things that people aren't doing. And you
Yes,
basically
stand
listened to
out
that
from the
advice and gone,
crowd.
okay, I'm a basics bitch. There you go.
Yeah. And it's like I say, everyone within that industry is a guru of something or a queen of something, and they all niche. And niching for business is amazing. It is one of the best things you can do for your business. But that's not what I do. I could niche and I could just teach people about optimizing their social media because I know a lot of information about that. But I also know a lot of information about a lot of other things, and I feel it would be a waste to. And there's nobody really that I've found that is doing that overall package. So it was filling a gap in the market as well. Like, I've been on so many training courses where people have gone into them and paid a lot of money for them, the same that I have, and they have no idea what it is that the training is about. They don't understand the terminology. They can barely post on Instagram, never mind use it to optimize with the analytics and all these things they don't understand. And people are doing these courses thinking it's going to help them, but they haven't got that groundwork in. So that's where I come in. I give you the
Well, it's,
groundwork, and then
it's
I
like going to
recommend all these
university.
amazing people.
It's like going to university before you've been to school,
Yeah,
so to speak,
basically that
isn't
is,
it?
and so many people are doing that, and they're paying a lot of money to do
It's
that.
the mentality. If
They're
I
paying
pay
to
if
do
I
these
pay a lot of money, I'll
courses.
get results.
Yes, and to be fair, that is partly down to the way these things are marketed, not intentionally, but people don't realise that when the coach or the mentor is marketing, they are marketing to people who already know all the other stuff.
Mm,
But they obviously can't judge who is going to buy into something. So
yeah.
if someone buys it and they don't know the difference between a domain name and an email address, the coach then ends up either having to put in a lot of extra work to explain these things to people, or they continue with the program and people say, oh, well, I didn't get the results that you promised.
Yeah.
And it's not the fault of the coach, it's that they weren't the right fit.
It's the same thing with
So
mindset though,
I'm doing
isn't
the
it?
groundwork.
It's the same thing
Yes,
because you do a lot of mindset
mindset,
work, and obviously if you don't
huge.
have, if you're going and being like, well, if I pay that amount of money to that person, then I'm going to get results. But if you, the mindset's still not in the right place, this is, you know, there's not much you can do unless you work on that first and then you're ready. And that's why a lot of the time people will come to me,
There are so
my
many things that
training
can
and this, that, and the
affect the
other.
results people get.
I'll say,
And people go into this and they expect these results. And because when that coach or mentor is saying, I'm going to get you to your 5K months, they assume that you're already making at least £1,000 a month and they are just going to help you level up.
yeah,
They never sell that to you thinking that you are literally lucky if you make £100 a month, which is the position that so many small business owners are in. All of this stuff that is aimed at growing your business and expanding and taking the next quantum leap and all of those buzzwords, it is all aimed at people who are already at a certain stage. There is very little out there for those who are right on the ground floor and who are barely breaking even, never mind making profit. And that's where I've been time and time again by starting up so many times. I've been on that ground floor and I know how hard it is to get from A to B. And everyone else is talking about D, E, F. So I thought, this is what I'm going to do. And it feels as though every other business I've had has led up to this, because what I do now, I couldn't do without having done all of that first. All of that experience, all of that knowledge, all of those people that I have learned from on
very
different
deep.
industries, all came together to make it possible for me to do this. I couldn't have done this 20 years ago. I knew nothing 20 years ago, and I couldn't have done it then. But I'm now in a position where I can do it. And I'm also lucky enough to be in a position where I don't need to be earning huge amounts of money. I don't need, I'm not having to charge people X amount to make sure that I can cover my bills and things. Whereas with a lot of people, they pay more thinking they're going to get better results because that's what that person portrays, but you don't know if that person is barely making their rent, and that's why their price is so high, because if they can only get one customer, they need that one customer to cover their bills for the month. So I'm able to do it at a price point that works for small businesses.
Yeah, that's that's the thing that's key, because I know I've been propositioned by many people like, oh, you should join my coaching, you should join this and join that, it's 25 grand, and I'm like, okay.
And when they say it's only £2,000, and as a small business startup, putting the word only in front of anything in the thousands
make it,
is and that just puts you off even more, because you're like, you think that's such a tiny amount. That is huge and life-changing to the majority of small, especially product businesses.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the thing, I look at my turnover, and I think it's just getting to the point where it's about £1,000 a month, but that's turnover, not profit.
Yeah.
And obviously, depending on like the months and how much stock I need to get, especially like coming up to Christmas and stuff, like my profits last month was terrible because I had to get lots of extra stock for Christmas and things. So, you know, it is when people are kind of saying it's only 25 grand, you're like, that's more than my car is worth. Like, what the only? And I'm like, listen, I'm not, like I said, I'm not in the mindset right now where I can sign on to this, but I'm not in the headspace that I'm actually going to be able to do the work and it make a result. So it's like, no, I'd have a lot more respect for you. You just went, okay, I understand that, but sometimes you do get berated. I think with you it's very relaxed, like, you know, I'm here if you need me, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be honest, like we were discussing before we came on, my memory is horrendous. So I'm not going to chase you and push you because I'll forget. I will forget to chase you up. So you can ask me questions without any concerns whatsoever that I'm going to hound you and try to make you sign up to something. I mean, what I do, the majority of what I do is DIY programs that you can buy in anytime, go through them at your own pace. I do my one-to-one work, but I only have a set amount of slots for that each month. I'm so sorry, my puppy is desperate to be in here with me. I only have a set amount of slots, and then I only launch my program once a year. And when I'm launching, if you're on my email list, you might get a lot of emails, but that's because they're automated. It's not because I've remembered to send them. They've been set up 6 months ahead of time. And it's just kind of that whole pressure tactic of selling things. I don't like it. I'm the kind of person that the more you pressurize me, the more you message me, the less likely I am to buy. It makes me back off, because it makes me, and on just such a basic level of, it makes me think, why are you so desperate to sign me? If you're so successful, why are you messaging me and trying to make sure that I sign up? Like, it comes across as kind of, it doesn't really fit with the branding that you've got. Like, you're hugely successful, so why are you personally messaging me trying to make me sign up? Like 3 messages a week. But that's, it's everyone has their own way of doing things, and it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. For the people that I want to work with, I want them to come and work with me because they want to, not because I've pressured them into it, not because I've been at the forefront of their inbox for the last 2 weeks. And I just kind of take a more relaxed approach. If people sign up, that's great, and they will get everything from me, and I will cheerlead them all the way. If they don't want to work with me, they don't want to work with me.
Absolutely. It's, you know, it's the best way to be, I think, you know. And that's the thing, is that nowadays marketing has become quite desperate, and oh my gosh.
And all these things about timed bonuses and timed bonuses are great. I mean, I have a few times signed up to things, but I don't sign up to anything to get the timed bonus. I already know I'm signing up, so I'm going to sign up within the first 24 hours, because if I'm signing up anyway, I want those bonuses. But they are used, and timed bonuses are normal, but there's so much more going on within the industry now where it's kind of really dodgy, and you know, like, oh well, you've only got 24 hours to sign up to this at all. Like, it's only open for 24 hours. That doesn't give people time to think about it, to know whether it's right for them. And that's when you end up with people signing up to programs that aren't going to work for them because they're not at the right level. And then you get a lot of people complaining and saying, oh, well, it didn't work for me, it didn't get me the results. And it's not good for business. Reputation is everything.
Absolutely. You can have as many settlement. I know my husband, the companies where, you know, he says they don't think that customer service is the biggest thing in the business. They think sales is the biggest thing. It's like, no. Like, you can get as many sales as you want, that's fine. But if your customer service and your kind of way is no good, then no one's going to come back to you. And you really get, you know what, that reputation will go, and other people go, you know what, I've not heard great things, I'm not gonna go.
Exactly.
You know, so
reputation is everything, and even more so for product businesses. And the thing I've found, a lot of the programs and things that are being taught, it's all about service-based businesses. There is very little out there for product-based business, and it is completely different. The way that you market a product is totally different to how you market a service. And the way that you work out your profit margins and everything. I mean, you can make huge profits quite easily within the service-based industry because your outgoings are relatively small. For a business who is stock in advance, and you have to have this, that, and the other, delays caused by Royal Mail strikes and all the rest of
it. Don't get me started.
That all impacts on a product business in a way that service-based don't even know about. And there is so little information out there for product-based business, which is where, I mean, I do teach people things for automation and stuff for service-based, but the core of what I do is product-based business, and it's product-based small business, handcrafted and things like that, stuff that the other people just don't even consider and think about, because most people are just looking at, how can I make the biggest profit in the quickest way? And that is not how you build a product-based business. It is a slow process, but you've got to do everything in the right way. But if you do that, your business will last and it will make you money long term, not just be a flash in the pan. Which, if you follow the service-based business advice for a product-based business, you're going to be a flash in the pan.
That is the, I mean, someone once said to me, you know, just because a star shines the brightest doesn't mean it will shine the longest. You know, you have to kind of be tactical in terms of I want you know, it's like when they say about losing weight and things, they say it's always best to lose slowly,
Yeah,
because actually you're less likely to then put it on really fast. I mean, for me,
yeah.
I can still lose slowly and then put it on like that.
Oh yeah, and every time you put it back on, you put on more than what you lost.
Yes, I say I'm always
That's
trying
how
to
I've
lose
ended up
weight,
at
but it's
almost 18 stone now.
well, this is the thing with it. I'm always trying to lose weight, but it always keeps finding me again. So I'm
Yeah.
not doing a very good job. So what
I
would you
wish my
say
money
then?
could find me as quickly.
Oh yeah, I know. I need to like do that. Was it hunted and
When I
like,
lose
no,
my
come
money,
on.
I wish that would come back as fast.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Um, so what would you say, as obviously someone that helps small businesses get onto their feet and give them all those tools? What's the most common problem that people do come to you with and needing to kind of get that solution?
It's quite a funny one, because what people come to me with is not actually the thing they need help with. The majority of people come to me wanting help with social media. They're wanting to make more sales through social media, and that is what people come to me with. How do I optimize my social media? How do I make my social media work for me? And what I would say to them is, it's not social media you need help with, it's marketing in general.
Mm,
And it's things like, really simple things like, they're posting product photos on social media, but those photos are really dark and you can't really see what the product's like. It's not being shown in its best light. So what they need help with isn't social media. What they need help with is improving their photos. So people quite often come to me with one thing and say, "Can you help me with?" And then when we get down to it, it turns out it's not actually what they need help with. So I always love that when I say to them, "What is it that you want help with?" Because I know that's not what we're going to work on. But the most commonly asked for advice is social media. Anything to do with social media. How do I try find trending sounds and everything along those lines?
mm. Oh, okay. It's interesting that I suppose it is we think that it's always going to be, because social media. Well, this is the problem with social media, is that it's a great tool, but it's also it is hampered by things like the algorithm and this and that and the other, and it is really hard, especially then when you're putting all of your self-esteem and self-belief and everything
Yeah,
on what this thing that we can't control. We're putting it all on this thing that we can't control and going, oh, it must mean that my business is
yeah,
rubbish. And it's like, no, no. And that's why it's like, sometimes it's like, before you even start looking at social media, and if you're getting upset by the fact that things aren't being shared or things aren't being then actually you need to start working inwards. And then when you come to it, you just go, you know what, I posted it, I've done what I've needed to do, I've marketed it in this way. And you start looking at it more analytical and being like, okay, that hasn't worked, what can I do to change it up? What, maybe it's the content, maybe if I switch some keywords around, or I do this, then maybe it's not engaging enough, so it's not making people stop and read it. So it's really about that self-analyzing. But if you take it personally, then you're
yeah.
not going to self-analyze, and you're not going to then improve. So it's it is like you say, it's never just about that one thing. It's
No,
so
it's
much more.
it is never just about, and that's why I love to do the one-to-one work, because you can really get to know somebody and you can work out like where they specifically need help. The like the courses that I do, I can teach people the general rules of like best practice. But I love to do one-to-one work with people, because then I can give them that tailored, just for them, what is going to help them, not what would help most businesses. I can
Mm,
look at their business and say to them, okay, if we change this and we tweak that and we do this, this is going to help your business. And a lot of people don't like doing one-to-one work. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, we should be moving away from one-to-one work. And because then you make more money teaching the same thing to multiple people at once.
mm,
But I feel, and especially for small business startups, they need that personal touch. They need that person to be able to look at their stuff and say,
mm,
okay, let's fix this. So that's why whenever someone comes to me and they say, oh, I want help with my social media, and I'm like, no, you don't. They don't. I'll help you, but that's not what you need.
mm.
It's always very interesting to see what it is that they actually need help with.
Absolutely. And like you say, with the whole, it'll be easier to do a group, it is that thing of, it's like well, if you think about like school and things, you've got your school, your typical state schools, 30 per class. Then people go, what? My brother chose to take his children to private schools.
Yeah.
And went, oh, it's 15 per class, much smaller groups. But then you'll still have people that will pay even extra to have that one-to-one private tutor,
Private
because
tutors.
there is a big difference between it being tailored and explained for a specific person.
Yeah.
Because it's even like different styles of what, how they learn. It's knowing,
Yeah.
okay, that
And
method
that's it.
doesn't work for them, we'll try it this way instead.
Yeah. And you see, I know that when I work with people, I know that I can say to them, you will get better results if we work one-to-one. You will get results doing the group program, but you will get better results and you'll get them faster, because I can be there to say, keep going, let's do this, let's do that. And I can actually take people through things step by step. In
Yeah.
my group programs, I do recordings and screen shares and things, but being able to actually sit down and with somebody says to them, right, okay, so this is what you need to do. Watch me do it, and then you do it, and I'll watch you do it. And if you're going wrong, I'll tell you, like, hang on, you need to do this. And it means that they can pick things up a lot quicker. They only need to maybe go through things twice rather than 10 times watching a video. And it helps things to click for people. And I think particularly when you're investing money in trying to do something that's going to grow your business, you want to see those fast results. You don't want to have 3 months of working on something before you see a result. You want a result as quick as possible. So and that's why it's so important to actually get down to the root of what you actually need to do, what you actually need to change. You think it's social media, and it's not. And like you say, we have no control over social media, and a lot of people forget social media is for being social. It was never intended to be a selling platform. Etsy is a selling platform. Amazon is a selling platform. Facebook was never supposed to be a selling platform. It's just that when people started selling on there, Zuckerberg saw an opportunity to make more money, and he gave us business pages and business accounts. And now we have business profiles that make it so much easier to interact with our potential customers, which I love, by the way. I love the new pages profile. It's amazing. But he saw an opportunity to make some money off this, because he wasn't making money from, he was getting some advertising money, but he wasn't making money from social media when he started Facebook, because it was supposed to be about being social and being entertained. Advertising is where they make their money. And that's why the algorithm is intentionally built to reduce the views of anything to do with business, because they want you to pay for advertising. They're a business at the end of the day. So they're not going to make it easy for you to be seen on social media. And trying to hack the algorithm is the worst thing you can do for your business, because you end up, the things that get you good views are not built for business. Reels with trending sounds that people laugh at and are entertaining, that doesn't get you sales. That doesn't tell people what you do. It doesn't tell people how good you are at what you do, or anything that will bring you a sale. So if you're trying to hack the algorithm, trying to grow your social media, you're not growing your business, you're just growing your social media. And people forget that it is possible to build a business without social media. We did it for years, centuries, in fact, before social media existed. So it's one of my passions, that, like, getting people to forget about social media. Not that it's not important, and online presence is hugely important in the day and age that we live in, but it should not be the be all and end all of your business.
Would you say that that was your one piece of advice that you'd say to people then? Just don't put all your eggs in
Yes.
one basket, basically.
Don't focus on social media. Never put all your eggs in one basket, whether it is your selling platforms, your marketing platforms, your payment providers. Never put all your eggs in one basket. But at the same time, don't spread yourself too thin, because a lot of people make that mistake as well. They try to cover everything, and they have 30 different ways that people can pay them. People just need a pay now button. They don't need 30 different options.
It's overwhelming. I think if you've got too many options,
yeah,
it's overwhelming for a customer, and you end up going, oh, I'll come back later, and then they may never.
and then you forget, because life happens. And that's where you need to have things like abandoned cart emails set up and all the rest of it. There's so many things that feed into building a business. Focusing on social media is a huge mistake. Don't do it.
It's just a very small, it's just a very small part of it, isn't it, really? I think that's the thing. It's a small part of it, but people make it the main part of it. And that's, yeah. No, that's a very, very good piece of advice. What would you say would be, what's the biggest lesson that you've personally learned since you've kind of been in business in general?
The biggest lesson that I learned has, there's been so many, but I think the biggest lesson I've learned is definitely you've got to make your business work for you. So it doesn't matter what other people are doing and how other people are doing it. You need your business to work for you, because if your business is hard work, you will give up, or you will burn out, or something will happen that will put a cap on your success. I'm so sorry, but this puppy is just, he's adamant to be in here with me. Normally I'm cuddled up on the sofa with him at this time of day. That's what it is. But it's just to make things work for you, not what everyone else is doing. So don't do what everyone else is doing if that is going to cause you stress. And it's not selfish to take care of yourself first. You know, like, you've got to put yourself first in your business, because without you, there is no business.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that. You've got to put yourself first, because without you, there is no business, because you are your business.
That's a really good piece of advice. If you need to let your dog in, you can let your dog in. I feel so sorry for him.
Oh no, and he's not allowed in here.
Oh bless. Oh,
He's not
we are
allowed
coming
in
to the
here,
end
which is why
anyway.
he's
So
whinging
you
that
can
I'm
go
in
and give.
here and he's not allowed.
We'll come into. You can go and give him a big cuddle in a minute.
Yeah, he's allowed on the sofa and things, but he's not allowed in here because there's too many electronics that he can knock over and break.
So thank you so much for joining me today and doing this interview. It's been, we've got to know about you and your business and what you do, but we've also had some really great advice as well. So everyone watching can kind of get to double
accidental value.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Value is what leads to people, wanting to buy with people, so it's all a win-win. But before you go, I ask this to every single person that I interview: is there a small business that you would like to give a shout out to?
There is. I would like to give a shout out to, now let me try and get this right, VKA Wax Melts. I always get the letters the wrong way around. The one who runs that, Christina, is one of my students, and she is amazing. She works so hard. She's working a part-time job at the same time to cover her bills, but she is working so hard to try and build her business, and she is doing everything she possibly can to learn from as many places as possible. And when she learns something new, she implements it. She gets
Perfect student.
it done, and she gets the results. And she is now starting to see some brilliant results. And I just want to give her a little shout out. And if possible, once this goes into the group, I will add a link to her page, if that's okay.
Yes, no, that
so that everyone can go and check out the work that she's doing, because I would really love to be able to give her any kind of boost. VKA Wax Melt.
Okay, that's fantastic. I'll put a little note. I'll remind you when I do put it into the group. Seeing as I know that your brain's like mine, it's like it's written down.
I will put a reminder in my phone. If it's in my phone, I remember to do it.
It's going to happen. And we'll be seeing your showcase on the 12th of October as well. So looking forward to that as well. And you've got a lovely item in our auction. So
yes, and there will be a few giveaways as well when I do my showcase. So there will be a few freebies.
Little tease. I like that. I like it when people give a little tease in the interviews for what's going to come. Well, thank you so much. And we'll speak to you soon. We'll see you soon.
You certainly will. Bye.